The first scout ships arrived, not with a bang, but with a silent disruption. Over the North Pole, a jagged crystalline vessel the size of a mountain pierced the cloud layer. It did not communicate, it simply hovered, and from its obsidian surface, tendrils of shimmering energy lanced down, not to destroy cities, but to scan the deepest mines, the most remote deserts, the orbital junkyards. Humanity watched, holding its breath. The United Earth Defense Coalition hailed it. It ignored them. Then the energy tendrils found what they were looking for. Buried beneath the ice of Antarctica, something inert for millennia responded. A pulse, low and tectonic, thrummed through the planet's crust. In the Gobi Desert, a colossal metallic hand, crusted with rust and sand, twitched. In a deep ocean trench, a single red optic sensor flickered to life, casting a bloody glow on abyssal creatures. The alien ship zeroed in on the Antarctic signal. It began to drill, its beam melting ice instantly. That was when the thing in the ice woke up. The glacier erupted. A being of gleaming silver-blue metal, shaped like an armored giant, surged skyward. It was wounded, missing part of its chest plating, but its optics burned with fierce intelligence. It saw the alien ship and recognized its intent, not conquest of Earth, but plunder of his kind. He transformed, his body shifting with a symphony of grinding gears and sliding plates, becoming a sleek alien fighter craft. He didn't fire on the Earth forces buzzing around him, he fired on the invader. The battle was short, brutal, and utterly confusing for the human observers. The Cybertronian, who would later be called Sentinel, fought with desperate precision, but he was outmatched and damaged. His final missile barrage crippled the crystalline scout, sending it crashing into the Ross Sea. Before he himself plummeted smoking into the remote Canadian Rockies, he broadcast a single repeating data burst on all frequencies, a raw stream of information. The world decoded it. It was a history, a warning, and a plea. It showed a galactic-scale war between two factions of mechanical life, the Autobots who sought to preserve life and freedom, and the Decepticons who sought to dominate and consume. It showed their homeworld, Cybertron, dead and barren from the conflict, and it showed the survivors, scattered and hidden across the galaxy, carrying within them the universe's most advanced technology, transformium, a living metal, and the Allspark, the creation matrix of their race, the alien Armadas, a collective of species known as the Krylix Dominion, were not interested in Earth's water or its people. They were scavenger lords, strip-mining civilizations for advanced tech. They had detected the dormant Cybertronian energy signatures on Earth, the wounded, hidden, and hibernating survivors of the Great War. To the Krylix, Earth was not a world, it was a treasure chest. The message ended with Sentinel's strained voice, translated into 100 languages. "They are coming. They will strip your world to its core to get to us. You must defend yourselves, or help us defend you." Panic was instant, but so was a strange, defiant unity. Here was not an invasion aimed at subjugation, but a brutal mining operation. Humanity was not the target, but merely an obstacle guarding a prize. The insult of it galvanized the planet. The UEDC, previously a toothless committee, was given emergency powers. Dr. Aris Thorne, a xenolinguist who had decoded Sentinel's message, was brought to a secret facility where Sentinel lay in stasis, his systems slowly self-repairing. "We have no hope against their armadas," General Moreau said, her face grim on the view screen. "Our strongest nukes might scratch their capital ships." Sentinel's optic glowed weakly. "Your strength is not in your weapons, it is in your audacity, your chaotic, illogical resilience. The Krylix are predictable. They see you as soft, organic pests." A holographic schematic projected from his chest. "My systems contain schematics for ion shields, plasma cannons, translite drives, but I cannot build them. My body is my own. You must build them yourselves." Aris leaned forward. "You're giving us your technology. Why?" "Because," Sentinel rumbled, "you are now, whether you wish it or not, the guardians of my people's legacy. and I have seen your history. You fight hardest when you are protecting your home, and when you are protecting those who cannot fight. We cannot fight. Not yet. So began Project Forge. In hidden bunkers, from the Nevada desert to the Himalayas, human engineers worked alongside downloaded Cybertronian intelligence cores. They learned to alloy transformium traces from Sentinel's shed fragments with Earth metals. They built the first human-designed Cybertronian-enhanced warships, the Defender-class frigates, equipped with gravity lens shields and focused proton beams. Soldiers were outfitted in powered armor that could transform into light reconnaissance vehicles. It was a frantic, global effort, a theft of fire from the gods of metal, all while the deep space tracking arrays painted a terrifying picture. The Krylix Armada was coming. 100 crystal warships, each a city killer, were moving through the solar system's outer rim. Their trajectory was direct, their purpose clear. The countdown had begun. The Krylix vanguard arrived at Mars. They did not attack Earth immediately. Instead, they began dismantling Phobos with grotesque efficiency, using gravity beams to shear the moon apart and feed its raw material into their ship foundries. They were building something, a massive planetary drill, a world cracker. The message to Earth was clear: we will take what we want and we will break your planet to do it. On Earth, Project Forge spat out its first defenders. The fleet was small: 3 capital ships, the UEDC Valiant, Dauntless, and Sentinel's Hope. A dozen squadrons of transformable fighter frames piloted by the best humanity had. The strategy was not born of Cybertronian tactical logs, but of human guerrilla warfare and historical desperation. General Moreau and Aris Thorne, now field advisors, stood on the bridge of the Valiant, with Sentinel's head and torso interfaced with the command console, a giant metal figurehead. Their shields are harmonic, tuned to energy weapons, Sentinel intoned. Your initial attacks will be ineffective. You must disrupt the harmonic frequency. How? Moreau asked. With a physical impact of sufficient force, timed with a full energy barrage from the fleet. It is a blunt solution. Aris smiled tightly. We're good at blunt. The Battle of Mars was a masterpiece of controlled chaos. The human fleet did not engage in a line of battle. It splintered. Small, fast squads of transformable fighters, dodging and weaving with an organic unpredictability the Krylix AIs couldn't model, harried the flanks of the crystalline behemoths. They fired mining charges and kinetic penetrators, low-tech, physical munitions that stuck to the alien hulls and detonated, not to pierce, but to vibrate. Meanwhile, the Valiant and Dauntless made a suicidal run straight at the Krylix command ship guarding the world cracker. They absorbed punishing fire, their experimental shields flaring and failing. Just as they reached point-blank range, Sentinel from the Sentinel's Hope at a distance calculated the harmonic frequency from the data flooding in. Now! His voice boomed across the fleet. Every human ship fired every energy weapon they had. The synchronized blast, focused on the command ship's already vibrating hull, found a momentary weakness. The harmonic shield flickered and failed, and that was when the Valiant, critically damaged, transformed. Inspired by their allies, the human engineers had built one last secret. The Valiant wasn't just a ship. With a shriek of bending metal and firing pistons, it reconfigured itself in the vacuum, becoming a colossal humanoid robot of war, 1,000 feet tall, clutching the shattered prow of its own hull like a giant spear. It plunged the burning, superheated metal directly into the heart of the Krylix command ship. The silent explosion in space was blinding. The victory, however, was Pyrrhic. The Valiant was gone, most of its crew with it. The world cracker was damaged, but not destroyed, and the main Krylix Armada, having used the delay to finish their preparations, entered Earth orbit. The sky over every continent was scarred by the angular, glittering shapes of the enemy. The drill, repaired and activated, began its descent toward the North Pole, where Cybertronian energy signatures were strongest. On the ground, the war changed. Krylix hunter-seeker drones, designed to detect and extract transformium, poured into cities, tearing up roads and buildings to dig for hidden Cybertronians. Humanity fought back with everything they had, transforming tanks, infantry in powered armor, and sheer bloody-minded defiance. In the chaos, Aris Thorn and a special operations team, guided by Sentinel's fading signal, raced to the Canadian Rockies. They found his main body, reactivated but weak. "The key is not the drill," he whispered, his voice grating. "It is the catalyst on their flagship. It amplifies their extraction beams. Destroy it, and their operation fails. But it is deep within, a place you cannot reach with ships." Sentinel's final act was not a transformation, but a gift. He initiated a cortical psychic patch, linking his mind with Aris's. He showed her the location, the schematics, the weakness, and then, with a final surge of energy, his body disassembled. His components folded, shifted, and reconfigured, not into a vehicle, but into a suit of immense powered armor around Aris's trembling form. She was no longer just a scientist. She was encased in the last living metal of a dying Cybertronian, his consciousness a whisper in her ear, his strength her limbs. "The spark is yours, Aris Thorn," his voice echoed in her mind. "The fist is mine. We end this together." The sky was falling in crystalline shards. The Krylix drill, a monstrous column of spinning energy and dark metal, bit into the Arctic ice, sending tsunamis of steam and meltwater across the globe. From its base, extraction beams of cruel violet light speared into the Earth's crust, seeking, pulling. In Mongolia, a dormant Cybertronian, a tank form named Brawl, was ripped from his million-year slumber, screaming in agony as his living metal was torn apart and drawn up into the Krylix refinery ships. The sight, broadcast worldwide, was not of a machine being dismantled. Inside the Sentinel armor, Aris Thorn felt a wave of anguish that was not her own. "They are my people," Sentinel's voice grieved in her mind. "We must stop the signal." The armor moved with a fluid, terrifying grace, leaping across the ravaged battlefield outside the Krylix landing zone in Alaska. It was not a machine she piloted, it was a body she inhabited. She thought of moving, and it moved. She thought of firing the integrated plasma cannon on its wrist, and a lance of blue fire vaporized the hunter-seeker drone. The human military's full might was now unleashed in a global desperate holding action. Fighter frames transformed and danced in the air, drawing fire from the refinery ships. On the ground, soldiers in lesser transforming armor fought street by street against the drones, not just to protect human cities, but to protect the buried, helpless Cybertronians beneath them. The war had transformed from a defense of resources to a defense of the innocent. Humanity was fighting for the souls of metal. Aris and her team, a squad of elite rangers, were a needle thrust towards the heart of the beast. They used the chaos, the steam, the seismic tremors as cover. The Sentinel armor's scanners, guided by the merged intelligence of Aris and Sentinel, found the hidden conduit, a lesser energy pipeline running from the planetary drill up to the flagship, the Krylix Sovereign, which hung in low orbit like a jagged black diamond. Their insertion was a combination of ancient stealth and alien technology. They launched in a cloaked shuttle, riding the very energy backwash of the extraction beam, a move so insane that Krylix hadn't programmed for it. Boarding the Sovereign was a nightmare of crystalline corridors and shifting, liquid light. The Rangers fell one by one to the automated defenses, their sacrifices clearing the path. Finally, it was just Aris, encased in Sentinel, standing before the vault door to the catalyst chamber. The door was not just physical, it was shielded by a complex data lock, a puzzle of shifting Krylix symbols. "I cannot solve this," Sentinel admitted. "Their logic is alien to me." Aris, sweating inside the helmet, remembered her first job, deciphering whale song and complex primate communication. It wasn't about logic. It was about pattern, about emotion, about the story the symbols told. She didn't see a lock. She saw a history of greedy consumption, a prideful song of dominion. And she replied not with a countercode, but with a data burst of her own. Images of human resilience. The fall of the valiant. A child protecting a pet from a drone, 100 different cultures standing together. A simple, powerful message. We are not a puzzle to be solved. We are a storm to be weathered. The vault door, confused by the illogical emotional data stream, shuddered and opened. Inside, the catalyst was not a machine, but a captured star, bound in a lattice of pure transformium, stolen Cybertronian essence. It pulsed with sickly power, the heart of the extraction process. Guarding it was the Krylix overmind, not a creature, but a consciousness housed in a floating cluster of crystal. It spoke directly into their minds, a sound like grinding galaxies. You are a relic, you carry a ghost, you are too late. The process is irreversible. We will have the living metal. Sentinel's fury was a white-hot fire in Aris's soul. The armor surged forward. The battle was epic and intimate, a clash of titans in a chamber no bigger than a cathedral. Sentinel fought with the skill of a veteran of a million-year war, but the armor was incomplete, a makeshift body. The overmind was pure, terrible power. Crystalline spears pierced the armor's limbs. Aris cried out in shared pain. As Sentinel grappled with the overmind's energy tendrils, holding it back, he showed Aris one final schematic, not for a weapon, but for a connection. The catalyst is transformium. It is alive and in agony. I can merge with it, soothe it, but it will be a fusion. I will not be able to separate. You must initiate the overload sequence from the core console. It will destroy the catalyst, this ship, and the drill. You'll die, Aris thought, horrified, and my people and yours will live. My spark will join the Allspark. It is a good destiny. There was no time for grief. Aris ejected from the back of the armor as Sentinel, with a final mighty heave, threw himself into the pulsing heart of the catalyst. The living metal of his form flowed into the lattice, merging with it. The captured star flared, not with violent energy, but with a sudden calm blue light, the blue of Sentinel's optics. The extraction beams across Earth winked out instantly. Aris, just a human in a battered environment suit, stumbled to the core console. The overload sequence was simple, a single large button under a clear cover. She didn't hesitate. She smashed the glass and pressed it. A harmonic resonance, starting from the purified catalyst, shot out in a wave. It travelled through the transformium lattice, through the ship, down the beam to the planetary drill. The Krylix sovereign didn't explode. It sang a single, pure, deafening note that shattered every crystalline structure within it. Then it, and the drill below, dissolved into clouds of inert, grey dust. In the silence that followed, on Earth and in space, the remaining Krylix ships, their central purpose and power source gone, ceased all activity. Bereft of the Overmind's will, they were just empty drifting jewels. Aris was recovered from a skate pod. The war was over. In the aftermath, humanity began the long work of healing, but they did not do it alone. From their hiding places, drawn by Sentinel's final purifying burst of energy and the ceasefire, other Cybertronians emerged. Not warriors, but scientists, engineers, poets, and explorers. They had hidden, fearing both Decepticons and organics. They had seen humanity fight not to claim Cybertronian tech, but to protect it, to protect them. The first to approach was a small yellow bug-like robot who transformed into a vintage sports car. He offered not his weapon, but his hand in peace and his skills in repair. He was followed by others. On the plains of what was once the landing zone, a monument was built, not to a human hero, nor a Cybertronian one, but to the fusion of both, a silhouette of the Sentinel armor, one hand raised not in a fist, but open, palm outward. Beneath it, the inscription read, in human and Cybertronian glyphs, "They came for the metal, they found the heart, and they learned we guard both." Earth was no longer just a planet of apes, it was a sanctuary for lost giants, and together they would build a future neither could have imagined alone.